morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call this meeting to order. It looks like we do have a quorum, and I'd like to begin by asking Reverend Griff Vaudier from the Kingman Ministerial Association to lead us with the invocation. And then following that, if Supervisor Johnson could lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. Lord God of the universe, we come before you this morning remembering those who gave their lives in defense of their country 73 years ago at Pearl Harbor. We pray for all those who served their country in the armed services, and we pray for those who serve our country in a different context, as in the case of our county supervisors, those in a position of public trust and authority serving and leading our people to a better future. Grant our supervisors the deliberations, wisdom in the deliberations and decisions that will take place during this meeting. And may a spirit of peace, hope, and joy be honored in these chambers this morning. Let there be a sense of goodwill toward all, as is appropriate as we celebrate the Festival of Lights and the Light of the World this holiday season. And as Tiny Tim said, may God bless us everyone. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Please remove your headgear, place your hand over your heart, and join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and I'd also like to call attention to the fact that today is Pearl Harbor Day. I'd like to take a moment sometime today and remember the brave men and women who perished on December the 7th, 1941 in the attack on Pearl Harbor, 74 years ago today. So can we confirm that we have Supervisor Hildy Angus and Stephen Moss on the telephone?
I'm here.
I'm also here.
All right, good morning. I know you're both down in the grand city of Phoenix this morning to meet with the governor's office, so we'll try to make this meeting go as quickly as possible. To start out with, entertain a motion and action to call for an executive session to be held December 21st, 2015 at 9:30 a.m. or at the conclusion of the regular meeting, whichever is later, for discussion and consultation with legal counsel in accordance with ARS 38431.01A3 and 4 to discuss items noticed on the agenda with an asterisk.
So moved. Second.
Okay, motion and a second. All those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Going on to the official business to come before the board this morning. Number one would be the discussion of pending or contemplated litigation claims and demands. Attorney Ekstrom, do you have anything?
We do not, Madam Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any committee or legislative reports? Supervisor Angus, I'll start with you.
I have nothing this morning.
Okay, Supervisor Moss.
Nothing.
Supervisor Johnson
Nothing, Madam Chair.
and Supervisor Watson.
Well, I'll just make it unanimous. I have nothing to report this morning.
Well, maybe not unanimous, because last Friday I did attend a one-day board and commissions conference along with two of our representatives from Development Services. So what we did is we discussed a lot of issues, open meeting laws, leadership skills, chairman responsibilities, planning and zoning, and commissions and boards of adjustments. We had a lot of expert speakers that discussed current trends and case studies, future development, water challenges, and legal insights. Also met with the Arizona Director of ADOT, John Halowski, and we discussed local transportation issues, including Highway 68 in Golden Valley, and the concept of adding roundabouts. And the director has agreed to give a presentation to the entire board early next year. So I found this extremely interesting and beneficial to have a diverse group of land and development experts discussing opportunities and strategies for future economic development. So I think that was a well-spent day in the beautiful downtown Phoenix, Arizona at 70 degrees. So that was welcome. So with that, we'll move on to the call to the public. I have one person that Nope, nope. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm trying to get this meeting over quickly, so we'll go on to the county administrator's report. I apologize.
No need. I have no report today, Madam Chairman. Thank you.
All right, we do need a motion to approve the October 5th, 2015, and October 19th, 2015 Board of Supervisors regular meeting minutes.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Now we'll go to the call to the public, and I do have one person that has signed up to speak, Kathleen Mischler. If you would come forward, please. State your name and address, and let us know what you want us to hear.
Good morning, Kathleen Mischler, and I live in Golden Valley, Arizona. So in October, I presented to the board a request for the national motto, "In God We Trust," to be added to the county seal here in the chambers. I emailed the information to each of you. Jean Bishop was the only one who responded and let me know she got it. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
I don't know if anyone else got the information, but I haven't seen it on the agenda. I realize you're dealing with really important, complicated issues, but this is a no-brainer. So I would ask again that you add it to the agenda and vote on having the "In God We Trust" national motto. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The county manager could look into that and see if we can do that, or if we even want to do that, and maybe place it on the agenda. Okay, is there anyone else that didn't fill out a form that would like to speak? All right. Seeing none, then, that concludes our call to the public. We have a presentation scheduled. That would be the presentation of the Arizona Peace Trail, and that's been canceled until early next year. So now we'll go on to the consent agenda. The following items listed under the consent agenda will be considered as a group and acted upon by one motion with no separate discussion of said items unless a board member so requests. So I'll go to each board member and see if anybody would like to have an item removed, starting with Supervisor Moss. Do you have anything?
Yes, 19.
19, and then Supervisor Angus.
None here.
Okay, Supervisor Johnson.
12, 13, 16, 31, 35.
Supervisor Watson.
None to include anymore.
Okay, and I have none, so
Madam Chair, I'd make a motion to approve the consent minus items 12, 13, 16, 19, 31, and 35.
I'll second the motion.
okay, we have a motion and second. We'll start with item number 12. Oh, I'm sorry, we didn't do the vote, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, going on to item number 12.
Madam Chair, maybe if Mr. Hunt could come forward and explain items 12 and 13, I think it actually is a reduction.
Good morning, Mr. Hunt.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Supervisor Johnson. Item number 12 and 13 are for approve a change order to renew the county landfill contracts. We have two county landfills, one at Surbat Hills, Surbat landfill serving this area, and also one down in Mohave Valley. And this contract has been in place for quite a while. It's working very well. The contractor is giving us very good service, and part of the contract is that we look at it every single year and look at the annual inflation and the consumer price index. It's specified in the contract exactly what date, and then based on that, we adjust the gate fees. And we did that this year, and typically, because of the inflation, the gate fees usually go up a little bit. Actually, this year, pretty much remained the same. In fact, it's actually decreased a little bit. For the Surbat landfill, the gate fee would would go down 4 cents for 1 ton of refuse, and for the Mohave Valley landfill, it would go down 5 cents for a ton of refuse. And of course, there are other fees. The minimum charge remains the same.
Those are the only questions I had, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you. Does anybody else have any questions for Director Hunt?
Madam Chair, hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve items 12 and 13.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion to approve items 12 and 13, seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, both motions.
If you could check to see if we have the other board members on the line, because we have got no responses for the
We're
last-
here.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, item number 19. This was pulled by Supervisor Angus.
It was actually pulled by Supervisor Moss. I'm just recusing myself from this vote.
16 was, we're 16 though.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, it was Supervisor Moss. All righty. So setting as the Board of Directors for the Mohave County Flood Control District, approve amendment number 3 to contracts number 13 PS 08, job order contract JLC for channel maintenance with the McCormick Construction Company 01, Bullhead City, Arizona, Desert Construction Incorporated 02, Kingman, Arizona, FHI Plant Services Incorporated 03, Bullhead City, Arizona, Lewis Equipment Services LLC 04, Kingman, Arizona, and Vasco Incorporated 05, Chino Valley, Arizona, and RM Excavation and Grading LLC 06, Kingman, Arizona, and extending contracts for an additional 2-month period.
Madam Chairman, I'm just recusing myself from the vote on number 19. This is Supervisor Moss.
That was item number 19, is that correct?
That's correct. That's the one you just read.
Okay. All right, so I'll entertain a motion to approve item number 19, unless there's any discussion from any board member.
I'll make a motion for the approval of item number 19.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by stating aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion passes with Supervisor Moss recusing himself.
Madam Chair, question? Item 16?
No, it's item 19. Yes. We skipped over 16. All right, going back to item number 16. Approve the Mohave County Neighborhood Stabilization Program forbearance policy and authorize the county administrator to sign the forbearance agreements, community services.
Madam Chair, if I could have Director Duranso come forward to explain what she's trying to do.
Supervisor
Director.
Bishop and members of the board, I would like Dave Wolf to explain the policy very clearly, but I'll be here to answer the question as well.
All right, thank you. Good morning, Mr. Wolf.
Good morning, Chairman, Chairperson Bishop, and Supervisor Johnson. Do you have any questions you'd like to ask Supervisor Johnson on this?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the reason for this, I know we had when this program was put into effect, we had classes for the people who received the housing to go over finances, work, all of that, and we've had nobody, at least to my knowledge, that has lost a home so far, and now we're asking to start carrying homes instead of going into foreclosure, so I'm curious as to what we're up to.
Well, currently, we do have, under the Neighborhood Stabilization Program, we do have 15 loans that the county is carrying right now on a carryback provision, which was part of the grant that we could do that function. 95% of those carrybacks are also on our Section 8 homeownership program, which basically allows for, if there is a loss of income due to loss of employment or, say, death of one of the main breadwinner in the family, the program would pick it up. This particular family was on that program, and they were doing very well, and so they reached a high enough income level where they graduated off that program. So they are one of the few, I think we only have one other loan that's like that, that's not backed by the Section 8 homeownership program. So in this particular case, the husband, they went through a separation issue and left the household, and his wife was left to handle the mortgage payments. And of course, he was the main breadwinner, so we were working with her to try to get her employed. And but he's now returned into the home, but he lost his job in the interim, and so we worked with him to try to get him employed, and he has been reemployed. But what this policy just allows us to do is to grant a certain period of time when we would accept a lesser payment, and none of the original amounts will be forgiven. It's added on to their future payments in the loan. The loan terms are not extended. So it just gives us some time to work with this particular, well, in this one case, one family. But there is no guarantee, of course, that this couldn't happen to somebody else. So that's why we brought forward the policy. Our only other option would be to move to foreclosure, and that really wouldn't be in the spirit of the whole neighborhood stabilization program, which was designed to, buy and resell foreclosed homes and try to stabilize, homeowners in those homes. So,
What is the amount of time that we are going to allow people to get in arrears on our property?
well, this is the thing. That's why we came forward with this policy. We're basically, in this one particular instance, the arrearages go back to approximately June. And like I said, we've been working with this family, though. In absence of this policy, the only thing we could do is work with them to try to get them employed. And we also referred the woman at the time to a program at the state to see if they could help step in. It's called Your Way Home, which is designed for if you have a loss of income and you're a homeowner, they can pay up to 2 years, but she didn't qualify for that program.
But we have somebody now who's 6 months in arrears?
Yes.
And when we put this program into effect, we had no policy for what to do if somebody didn't pay us?
Yes, that's correct. Like I said, other than foreclosure, which is always an option for the county. If we don't identify this policy, then that would be our only other option, would be to move to foreclose on the home.
Do we still do, or
And we didn't develop this policy because, like I said before, 95%, all the rest of these folks are on our Section 8 homeownership program, and that would step in if there was a loss of income, so that they would basically, the grant would pay if they lost their job, the difference from that income, so we wouldn't have to go to foreclosure.
And then if it does go to foreclosure, it comes back to the county, and then do we have money to, if it has to be rehabilitated again, to rehabilitate it and offer it back into the program?
Well, that's the problem with it. Once we've rehabbed it once, we can't rehab it with the grant funds again. We can take the property back, but we'd have to sell it as is, whatever condition it is. And then that money would come back as what's called program income into the grant. But we can't go through the rehab process again. So that's why it's in our interest to really work with this family to see, if they could make it in home ownership, do this forbearance agreement, as opposed to taking it back.
I guess my problem is, if we're 6 months in arrears, I would think the county would, the people who are borrowing from us should at least allow an inspection to see if it's worth us to continue to carry the loan or not, if they're not going to allow us inside. I imagine you haven't asked them yet. Right. To see if they're taking care of the property. If they don't do that, then I would think we'd go into foreclosure.
I think that we could work that out as a part of the forbearance agreement. I don't see why not.
Supervisor Johnson, just to add, so far we only have one instance, and this is the only one that we have. And part of the forbearance agreement would put timelines for when they could start paying back, the full amount. Maybe like what Dave said, we could also put in the forbearance agreement that we could do an inspection of the unit.
How
So-
long do we plan on carrying this? I mean, was it a year max, or
You mean the forbearance agreement or the mortgage?
how long do we plan on letting people go into, I mean, I know it's just only one person, but
Yeah.
before we initiate the foreclosure procedures, how many months would somebody have to be in arrears?
Well, I guess the forbearance agreement will probably identify the length of time. If the person is working to get a job, like for instance in this case, the gentleman or the man of the house already has a job, so they're just trying to catch up with the payments. And this will allow the title company to be able to work with them and say, okay, now that you have a job, we're going to give you 2 or 3 months more, and then you pay the fees, you pay the arrears, and then go back to the regular payments. So it's going to be a case-by-case basis based on the situation of the family. But this would allow us to work with the family as long as we know that they're doing their best to either get a job or get something to pay for the unit. But so far, we only have one instance.
I mean, shouldn't we have some kind of a policy that says 6 months is a maximum, or 9 months is a maximum, or, I mean, anybody else out there in the real world would have to, they'd be lost their home by now, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
I think once we have this policy in place, then we can actually start working with them, and we wouldn't anticipate it would take this long. We did have some, like I said, some issues with, if who could sign this agreement, so we had to get the county attorney's input into that, and it was finally decided to take it back to the board. So all these things have entered into the fact that we're waited this long in this one particular case. But now that we have the policy in place, we would be more immediately working with the family, and it would give the okay to our loan servicer, Pioneer Title, to accept a lesser payment or whatever was worked out in the agreement.
Those are the only questions I had, Madam Chair.
Supervisor Johnson, unless the board would like to put a limit as part of the policy, I mean, they can do, but without a limit, it would allow us to work with the family for however long they would. But if the board says, based on the forbearance policy, no more than a year, once you're in arrears for a year, go for foreclosure. That means you can never recover after a year. And we can do that as part of the policy, if that's what you wish to put on.
Do you know offhand what the regular lenders' policies are?
The banks, under the new federal regulations that have come out, are encouraged to work with the mortgagee for as long as possible, but I'm not aware of exactly what the dates are on that, is how far before they would go, to a foreclosure situation. So.
That's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does any of the other supervisors have any questions for Mr. Ranzo or Mr. Wolf? Supervisor Watson, Supervisor Moss,
I have no questions.
Supervisor Angus.
No questions.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Yes, Chairman. I'd like to make a motion to approve the Mohave County Neighborhood Stabilization Program forbearance policy to also include a 12-month period on that, and including the possibility of inspections to protect our investment.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay, motion passes unanimously. Okay, we'll move on now to item 31. Acknowledge the receipt of the legal descriptions of the voting precincts adopted by the Mohave County Board of Supervisors on August 3rd, 2015. Mr. Tempra, did you want to come up and explain to us what we've done?
Do you have a map with you, Mr. Temper?
I do not. No, I do not. Sorry. Thank you all for calling and giving me this opportunity, supervisors. Okay, basically is this. We, back in August, approved new voting precincts. Now, that meant we changed old shapes into new shapes, is basically what it came when we consolidated down to the 24 voting precincts from the current 73. Okay? So what we did in the meantime is taken us months after that to draw up, to actually write up new physical descriptions. These days with the GIS maps, and it's now should be up live and active now for people to see the new voting precincts, the shapes of them, so to speak, through the county GIS system. But years ago, the only way somebody could really describe what a particular area is, a polygon, so I learned from my kids for geometry class, was to say, go down this road, go up this road, go down here, go there, follow the power line. And I learned an awful lot about Mohave counties. Man, we follow a lot of really weird, but you have to follow landmarks of one sort or another. So what we did is we simply took all those ones that were smaller and already written up, and then figured out which ones encompassed them, and then remade the descriptions. Now, it's not a requirement to do this, because we have other ways of doing it. It doesn't say that I have to do that, but that was the only way in the past that somebody could really tell before the new mapping systems and GIS system. And then I consulted with Attorney Ekstrom, and I said, well, can we just use the map that's on the computer, and people can look at it, and they can call me, ask a question. He says, why don't you just take a crack at doing it? Do it. Okay, so it took me the last couple of months, or my staff in between doing other things, for us, I should say, with a total us project on this, to write down the new descriptions. So if anybody wants to see them, I have them. And I gave a copy to the recorder's office, because it was supposed to acknowledge, once we made the precincts, that I have to let the recorder's office know about that, which they did. They knew that back in August. So that's the whole thing. I just wanted to show you guys I did it. So.
Are the
Madam
maps
Chair?
Oh, go ahead.
Supervisor Moss, go ahead.
Sorry, I believe was item 30 also removed by Supervisor Johnson?
No.
No. It's
Okay, so it's just item 31.
31 and 35.
Okay, thank you.
Supervisor Johnson, did you have anything to say?
No, well, the only thing is you have that available on the website now, or you're going to be...
Yeah, the physical, what I gave to you all with the words isn't there, but the map is really cool, the GIS. Yeah, you can go in and click in and see all kind of neat things.
Okay, yeah, that was the question I had, because we have a lot of questions on that. That's all I had, Madam Chair.
Okay.
I'd make a motion to approve unless anybody else has a question.
And I'll second the motion.
I have a motion to approve that's been seconded. All those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm opposed.
Motion passes 4-1.
Thank you all.
Okay, going on to item 35. Recommend approval of an application for extension of premises patio permit liquor license for Hooch's 95 Bar and Grill, 5575 Highway 95, Fort Mohave, Arizona, for December 11th, 2015 through December 13th, 2015. Supervisor Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just pulled this off because it was a late ad that was put on. There's a good possibility there won't be opportunity for the state to get this. Was there a reason we added this on late, or something came up?
It was added late by Supervisor Angus's office. However, we did advise that there was a good chance it would not be approved by the state because of the timing. So they are aware, the applicant is aware that it may or may not make it in time.
Did they have a reason why this was so late in coming to us, the bar?
That I'm not aware of.
That's the only thing I had.
Okay, thank you, Supervisor Johnson. Does anybody else have any questions before I entertain a motion to approve?
Supervisor Bishop, Madam Chairman, I'm going to be abstaining from this vote.
Okay, Supervisor Moss will be abstaining. Okay, does anybody have a motion?
Motion to approve item 35.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a second by or a motion by Supervisor Angus, seconded by Supervisor Johnson, or Supervisor Watson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 3 to 1 with one abstaining. Okay, moving on to public hearings. I'd like to open the public hearing on item number 37, discussion of possible action reference adoption of Board of Supervisors Resolution 2015-177, evaluation of a request for a rezone of assessor's parcel number 22721-027 from a C2 general commercial zone to a C-MO commercial manufacturing open lot storage zone to allow for a vehicle impound yard in the South Mohave Valley vicinity, Lakewood Road west of State Highway 95 between Gardenia and Hammer Road, Mohave County. The commission recommended approval by unanimous vote, and I do have one person who has filled out a request to speak on this item. Mr. Robert Burke, if you'd like to come forward and tell us what's on your mind. Good morning, Mr. Burke. If you'd just give us your address for the record.
My name is Robert Burke, and the address is 5182 South Lakewood Road. I really don't have anything in opposition. In fact, we're in favor of this. So I hope that we have all of your approval and we can get unanimous vote for this, and we can go on and continue like we've been.
Okay, thank you very much.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, as a courtesy, is there anyone else that would like to speak on this item? Seeing none, I'll close the close the public hearing. Are there any comments or questions from any of the supervisors, starting with Supervisor Moss?
None.
Supervisor Angus?
No.
Supervisor Watson? Johnson?
No.
All right, I'll entertain a motion then.
I'll make a motion for the approval of the adoption of the resolution 2015-177.
Second.
We have a motion by Supervisor Watson, seconded by Supervisor Johnson. All those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes unanimously. Going on to item number 38, public hearing, discussion of possible action reference adoption of the Board of Supervisors Resolution 2015-178, evaluation of a request for a rezone of the assessor's parcel number 33606-491 from C-2 1A, general commercial 1 acre minimum lot size zone to AR agriculture residential zone to allow for a residential dwelling in the Meadview vicinity, Pierce Ferry Road between Glen Road and Green Tree Road, Mohave County. The commission has recommended approval by unanimous vote. I have no one that has filled out a request to speak. As a courtesy, is there anyone here that would like to speak on this item? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Are there any comments or questions from any of the supervisors? Supervisor Moss?
None.
Supervisor Angus?
No.
Supervisor Watson?
No.
And Supervisor Johnson?
None.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion for the adoption of Board of Supervisors Resolution number 2015-178.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously. Going on to the regular agenda, item number 39, discussion of possible action, Ray, approve the Mohave County for year 2016 Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, option of allocating grant funds for county projects as follows. Number one, designate proposed countywide CDBG projects serving the entire county, or number two, identify two supervisory districts with contiguous boundaries for year 2016 CDBG and the remaining three supervisory districts to be funded in the year 2018 CDBG application cycle. Mr. Anzo, if you would like to give us a short explanation of the options available to the board. Good morning.
Good morning,
Again.
Chairman Bishop and members of the board. For the last 30 years, our Community Development Block Grant Program, when it comes to Mohave County, has been divided equally between the districts, the supervisory districts. Now, there's a lot of changes that happen in the program, one of which is that in the cycle of fiscal year 2016, there's going to be a reduction of the allocation for Mohave County, primarily because Colorado City is coming into the mix of the allocation for that year. I provided a chart to the members of the board identifying the split of the method of distribution of the CDBG funds that has been approved by the entities, which shows that in 2016, Colorado City is going to be dividing the pie with us, so that provides a smaller amount of money. But more importantly, the Arizona Department of Housing has provided a new regulation which requires that each entity can only submit a maximum of 3 applications in a cycle. For the counties and for the city, only 1 application. So with that in mind, our fiscal year 2016 is rolling up. We're going to have our public hearing starting in January, and we would like a direction from the board whether, you would like, at least for this cycle, an area-wide or a county-wide project, irregardless of the district at this time, that benefits the entire county, or split the funding between the fiscal year 2016 and 18, having 2 districts come forward first for this year and the 3 districts in 2018. So those are the changes that we're facing. This is not to discuss any of the projects because we're still going to have a public hearing in January. But it will just give us a direction when we go solicit projects to say we're only identifying projects for certain areas or for certain service areas. So
Okay.
that's basically the changes that we have in front of us.
All right. May I have a motion for discussion on this item?
Well, I have a motion. Do you want to discuss? There's really not much to discuss.
You can go ahead and make your motion, Supervisor Angus.
I make a motion that for the fiscal year 2016 Community Development Block Grant be allocated as a county-wide project.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Is there any discussion?
Yes, I'd like to
Supervisor Watson.
I'd like to ask our supervisors to identify that possible project.
As I understand it, this is not the forum to be talking about projects.
Supervisor
Yes, Mr.
Bishop
Renzo.
and members of the board, we couldn't discuss the projects right now because we have not solicited them yet publicly. We're going to have a public hearing in January wherein all the applicants all over the county will have the opportunity to present their projects. And then sometime in February, right, we will be going before the Board of Supervisors to identify the priority project for the county.
Okay, so the motion then is to approve the countywide CDBG project, is the way I understand it. So we do have that motion.
Madam Chair, and then Mr. Ranso, when those projects come back, it's still up to the board to decide exactly the direction.
Supervisor Johnson and members of the board, yes, sir. What we're going to do, say for instance, the motion on the floor right now is to identify projects that's countywide. When we go for a public hearing, we're going to tell the public that we're soliciting project that would be serving countywide projects. So potentially we can have 1 or 2 or 3 applications, and then we go forward in February before the board and say, we have solicited this project. Please identify the priority projects for Mohave County.
Thank you, Mr. Ransom.
Okay, we do have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I seconded that motion, Madam Chair.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, motion passes unanimously. Item number 40, this is under Administrative Hendricks' name. Discussion of possible action. Ray, the board at their meeting of November 16th, 2015, engaged in discussion regarding the reporting structure of staff of OMB as well as the overall staffing structure of Mohave County, and directed the county administrator to bring back the reporting structure at some future date. Administrator.
Madam Chair, if I can suggest in the interest of time that we continue this to the next board meeting?
Okay. Is that in the form of a motion?
It is.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to table this until the next meeting, which will be December 21st. Do we have a second?
Yes.
I second it.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes by a majority. We have 4-1. Okay, going on to item 41, discussion of possible action, reference donation, long-term lease, or possible land swap or sale of the property described in the attached backup of the City of Kingman. Supervisor
Madam
West.
Chair, in the interest of time, I'd make a motion that we continue this item to the next meeting.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second to table it until the next meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion passes. Okay, item 42, discussion of possible action going to a zero-based budget for year 2017. This was continued by the board at their August 17th meeting, September 8th meeting, and September 21st meeting.
Madam Chair, since it's Supervisor Johnson's item, I won't make the motion out of respect to him, but I'd ask him to consider tabling this to the next meeting.
Okay, Supervisor Johnson?
I'll let you guys go. I'm here to vote on it, to move ahead today, at least get the discussion out, whether we vote on it or not.
Okay, does anybody else have anything to say on that? Do you want to, we can make a motion to table it, or we can go ahead and handle it now.
I'll make a motion that we table this until the next meeting, Madam Chair.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries by majority. And then the last item is under Supervisor Moss, discussion and possible action reference the election of the chairman and vice chairman of the Mohave County Board of Supervisors to be effective January 1st, 2016 for the calendar year 2016.
Yes, Chairman Bishop, I'd like to make a motion to elect you as chairman and Supervisor Johnson as vice chairman for Mohave County Board of Supervisors effective January 1st, 2016 for the calendar year of 2016.
Okay, thank you very much for that motion. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it, Madam Chair.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much for the confidence, even after I kind of flubbed this meeting up pretty bad. But
Thank you.
it's the last item on the agenda, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We are adjourned.
It'll be pretty busy next year.